Hello and welcome to day 6 of Soul Reset Yoga. We are continuing our mini tour around the Methodist University campus, and today we find ourselves in the Union Zukowski lobby of the Matthews Ministry Center. And by we, I mean me and my fabulous film crew. Shout out to the amazing Dooley, appreciate it. So today our theme is going to be a little bit different from other classes. We're going to make this a yoga anytime, anyplace class, all right? So the idea I want to instill in you is that while you may not have every day an hour to go to a studio to devote to a yoga class, it's virtually never the case that you wouldn't have 2, 3, 5, 10 minutes wherever you happen to be to stop, pause, and do a little bit of yoga. So that's what we're going to do today, give you some ideas about how to just incorporate yoga into your life anywhere, anytime. All right, so we're going to start first thing in the morning. Let's pretend this is my bed. You may be just waking up. We'll all pretend we're just waking up now. And we'll do just a few minutes of yoga before we get out of bed. All right? So here you are under the covers. I'll leave the covers off so you can see what I'm up to. But all right, and you're welcome to leave the pillow under your head. Doesn't matter. Okay, you're just still under the covers, just starting to wake up, and you kind of want to make it a great day, so you're going to start it with yoga, all right? So first, as usual, just take a breath or two to get yourself centered. Nice deep breath. Try counting to 4 as you breathe in, and just pause for a second, and then exhale on 4 as well, and pause for a second. So let's just take a few rounds of breaths like that. All right, let's stretch out a little bit. Start with your legs. Keep your feet flexed and just kind of stretch your feet down a little bit. One at a time, and then both. And then from flexed, push out the ball of your feet, and then out to pointed toes, and back in the same way. Ball of your feet, flexed feet, ball of your feet, pointed toes, ball of your feet, flexed feet. Bring one leg, knee up to your chest, and just stretch that hip out a little bit. Keep breathing, keep relaxing, keep feeling cozy still in bed. You might have to fluff the covers around a little bit. Just relax. Take this moment for yourself first thing in the morning. Nice deep breaths. And then switch legs. Kind of shake off the sleep a little bit. And then feet flat on your bed. And just kind of roll your knees down to one side. And just glance off a little bit in the other direction, but this is gentle morning wake-up stretching, so you don't need to push yourself at all. And come back to center and open your knees wide into the reclined bound angle pose. Take a breath, and then roll your other knee over to twist in that direction, looking off the other way. Nice deep breaths. And back to center, and bring both knees up to your chest, hug them in, maybe roll a little around if your mattress will allow it. Get these covers out of your way a little bit. And then bring your forehead up to your knees, or your cheeks, or your chin, whatever comes up. Take a nice deep breath and exhale back down. And feet back to the mattress. And whatever room you have above you, let's make use of it. Probably can't stretch your arms out like this, but you can kind of fold at your elbows and reach your shoulders wide open. And maybe lift your head off the bed a little bit to stretch those shoulders further. And then back down. And from this position, straighten your legs again. And then try a little bit of a side stretch. See if you can stretch all the way down to your waist. And breathe. And then the other direction. And breathe. And relax back to center. Arms back down. And just feel that stretch. Feel yourself waking up. Take a moment to think about maybe what you're grateful for, what gives you joy, what you'd like to do today. Think about something positive for your day. And then wake yourself up and get on with your day. So that's our little morning wake-up yoga. Now you're ready to start the day. Only took about 5 minutes and gets you started on a good path, a good track to make the most of your day. So let's imagine next up that you are running some errands this morning and you find yourself having to wait in a long line, stuck somewhere. Maybe you're getting a little agitated, a little bit impatient. Perfect place to do some discreet standing in line yoga, okay? So right now, during pandemic, you've probably got 6 feet, so lots of room to stretch out, but you might get some glances, although I'm fine with that if you are. But let's just imagine you don't really want anybody to notice that you're doing yoga. So you're standing here in line, and start with mountain pose, okay? Remember that mountain pose is different from just kind of standing anyway, all right? Mountain pose is intentional. So bring up your posture, sort of zip up your core, lengthen your neck, feel that string attaching you up to the heavens. Nice long neck, shoulders relaxed. You can even probably do this and no one would really notice. Feet lined up parallel, hips a little bit tucked under but comfortable, and there you are. Nobody knows you're doing yoga except for you. And as always, you can take a moment to just do some calming breaths if you find yourself getting a little irritated, waiting in line. Let's try employing the 4x4 breath, if you remember, the square breath, to sort of ward off nervousness and anxiety. So if you remember, that was 4 in, 4 pause, filled, 4 out, 4 paused, empty. All right, so let's try that. Once more. All of a sudden, you could stand in line all day long, all right? You can discreetly do some twists. No one will notice if you kind of look over your shoulder that way. It's just as if you're checking things out over there. If you look over your shoulder that way, same situation. Probably even if you just sort of bend a knee and twist on around, right? Just kind of casually seeing what's behind you, all right? Try it the other way. If you can just take a breath while you're there and come back around, you'd be amazed at what just that little bit of stretching does to calm you, center you, get you a little more comfortable with what you're doing. You can do balance pose in line. Line is a great time to do balance pose, and no one needs to notice, okay? You can do sort of a modified tree pose. So imagine, here we are, still standing in the line. It's not going very fast. And you just kind of think about grounding this foot and lifting this one. And here we are. Nobody notices. Or even just if you want to even be more discreet, just lift it right off the floor, right there. Great time to practice balance pose. And other side. Just lifting that foot off. Putting it anywhere you want. Or messing around, you know. Boom, 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 boom. Still nobody's going to notice. If you want to be really bold and brave, you could probably even do a modified dancer. You know, just kind of this kind of stuff. Just nobody notices. Feels good though. All right, so now you've gotten through your morning, did some morning wake up yoga, did a little standing in line yoga. Next, let's say you're off to work. So you're going to be sitting in a chair for a while. We're going to introduce some chair yoga. All right. As you see, I've brought in a special celebrity guest for chair yoga, your president, Dr. Worden, my husband, Stan. He has agreed to join me for this segment. He did not agree to join me for the rest of the classes. He didn't want you to see him crying and suffering through warrior poses and balance poses and falling, but this is more his speed. Chair yoga has actually, although let's be fair, he has done some standing, etc. yoga with me. He's been a good sport about it, yes. So chair yoga has actually become kind of a trend in yoga. It's a great fit for people who are older or have some specific ability issues, capability issues. So you can often find a chair yoga class at a studio. But chair yoga can just be, again, part of our anywhere, anytime yoga practice. So I'd like you to think if you are sitting in your office somewhere, something like that, you can always jump into a little bit of chair yoga just to kind of break up your hour, break up your day, all right? So let's just do a mini chair yoga class here. I recommend that you find a chair that's fairly sturdy, stable, all right? If you're on wheels, you're kind of at your own risk there in your office chair, so beware of that. And kind of come up to the front of the chair and get yourself centered on your sit bones. Sit up nice and tall, as if you're in staff pose on the floor, mountain pose standing, okay? Nice long torso, shoulders relaxed, neck long. You'll find that a lot of what we do on the chair is pretty similar to what we do standing or on the floor, okay, just kind of modified. Makes it a little easier for things like, you know, balance and strength and energy and all that kind of stuff. And plus, you don't have to get out of your chair, all right? So let's start with just a centering breath. So we'll breathe into the count of 4, pause, and breathe out to the count of 4 at your own pace. Again. All right, if you're feeling nice and centered on your chair, let's begin with warm-ups like we usually do. Now centered, we'll start with a gentle neck warm-up. So just roll your neck over to the left side. Stretching the right side, shoulders nice and low so you can feel that distance from your ear to your shoulder. Breathe. And then come up to center, nice and tall, long back of your neck before you head over to the right side. Feel that stretch in your neck. And back up tall to center. And now look to the left, pivot your head. Stan has arthritis in his neck, so he doesn't have a lot of mobility there, but whatever you do, but try to keep your shoulders straight where they were. Don't bend your shoulders just yet. Chest forward. And then slowly pivot your head around to the right. And back to center. And let's look down, kind of stretch your neck from the back. And up, but don't scrunch your neck in the back, just a nice long chin, long throat. And back down. Exhale down, inhale up, up, and once more down. And back to center. And now if you remember cat-cow, which we usually do on all fours from table pose, we'll do a modification of that here. So we're going to exhale, chest up and open, head to the sky. We're going to inhale that way. And then exhale, curve your back in, shoulders down, chin into chest. And let the back, your lower back kind of sink down. Again, inhale up and open and wide. And exhale, curl in, head down, back out. Inhale up, open, shoulders back, chest open. Exhale in. Let's try 2 more on your own time, coordinating your inhale and your exhale. And when you're finished, come back to center. I'm going to not do a hands-on adjustment, but make a suggestion, a note. When you're going down, try to let your lower back come out a little bit more. Let's try one more. So ready, inhale up, chest wide, shoulders out, and exhale down, sink back into your chair. And back to center. All right, let's use your chair as a holding point and do a twist, all right? So you can kind of reach over to the other side, around to the back, wherever you feel is a good place to hold on to, and twist. And just breathe there for a moment. You may already be doing yoga at the office when you get sore or tired. Just take another minute. And pivot around to the other side. Whatever your chair allows, wherever you want to take hold. But just remember to keep your shoulders down, neck long, don't over twist your neck. Think about opening, breathing, relaxing. And back to center. And we'll stretch over to the side. So once again, if you've got room on your chair for a hand, and then just reach up and over. Try to see if you can reach all the way from your waist or your hips. So this isn't just an arm stretch. This is a full side of the body stretch. And breathe. Shoulders relaxed. And windmill over to the other side, nice and tall in between. Try to keep your hips kind of still centered on your chair so you get a nice long stretch all over the side. And back down and back to center. Take a breath. All right, let's get a little more of our hips and legs into this, which you can actually do in a chair. All right, we'll start by trying to cross the legs a little bit. So make sure you're safe and secure on your chair. And then bring your right leg up and just kind of cross your ankle over your thigh here. All right, see if you can get comfortable with that. You probably feel it stretching under here. That's good. You can just maybe Move it a little more horizontal if that feels good, or just hold it where it is. Nice and tall, just feel that particular stretch. While you have that leg up, see if you can kind of bring your knee up to your chest a little bit. Nice and tall as usual. Nope, we moved. Stand. Not his fault. He couldn't see. All right, let's try the other leg now. Take your right leg back to the floor, left leg up. Cross your ankle over. Feel that stretch in your hips here. And then unfold and bring your knee up to your chest. There we go. And back down. And let's go back to the first side. Bring that foot across again. Ankle on your thigh. And this time let's increase the stretch a little bit with a bit of a forward fold, okay? So try to hold your lower body position, and as usual, lead with your chest, bow, and head out over your legs. All right, you should find that increases the stretch. And don't strain your neck by looking up. Go ahead and look down at the floor. You can feel that in your lower back and your hips. And come on back up. And switch legs. And let's try that again. So, shoulders still down, back and relaxed. Bow forward, leading with your chest. Come out over that leg. And relax your neck, looking down. Just breathing into the stretch wherever it may be, wherever your sort of stopping point is. Mine is kind of right back here somewhere. And back up. And uncross your legs. You can do a little bit of footwork. It won't look like much when you're wearing shoes, but just kind of cross the leg normally and then just circle your foot around. Circles with your big toe. And the other direction. Well, I guess it does look like much. And then as we did in bed this morning, if you recall, kind of push your foot through, ball of the toe, point, ball of the toe, and back to flex. Again, ball of the toes, ball of the foot, toes, ball of the foot, and back to flex. And then let's switch legs. Circle around with your big toe. And then other direction. And then push through, ball of the foot, toes pointing, ball of the foot, back to flex, ball of the foot, toes pointing, ball of the foot, and back to flex. All right, feet down. And if you're feeling really bold, like you need to just push yourself a little bit further, you can actually do a sort of a chair pose, seated. All right, we're going to be off the chair a little bit. But what you want to try to do is to get up without touching your chair. All right, that's the goal. All right, so what we're going to do is get out and just hover briefly and then come on up to standing. All right, so you ready? No touching. Come out, try to hover here, just like we do with the standing chair pose, and then come on up to standing. All right, and let's try the same thing sitting down. Go down to just a few inches above the chair and hover. And then sit down. Make sure if you're doing that, you know where the chair is. You don't want to fall. Let's do that one more time. Just hover above the chair. And stand on up. And back down. Hover. And sit. And you can feel the muscles that takes. And it takes some significant muscles, and you can actually do that every time you get in and out of a chair if you feel bold enough and you want to really start building some muscles down here. But it's great for balance, it's great for strength. So keep that in mind. All right, let's close our little chair yoga session with just a moment of breath. Close your eyes, set your intention for the day. Breathe. And now it's time to get back to work, to your computer or whatever you were doing. And now it's time for Stan to get himself to a meeting. So through the magic of yoga, he's going to disappear now. The question sometimes comes up whether yoga is a religion. And I thought this might be a good time to talk about that since we're comfortably sitting in chairs. So yeah, the question of whether it's a religion, whether it conflicts with other religions that you might practice, whether there are things you have to worship or doctrine you have to believe or anything like that. And the answer is no to all of the above. It is not. If anything, it complements any religion you might be practicing rather than conflicting with it. But there is more to yoga than just the asanas we've been practicing, okay? And I want to just talk about that just a little bit so you know some background of yoga. According to sort of traditional literature, there are 8 limbs of yoga. 8 limbs of yoga, and I'll tell you what those are, just so you know. The first, if memory serves, bear with me, first are yamas. Number 1 limb is the yamas. And the yamas are what you would call moral virtues, ethical imperatives, golden rules, that kind of thing. For example, the first one is nonviolence, and that means more than just don't hit somebody. It also means be kind with your words to others and to yourselves. So in yoga practice, that means, if you're struggling with a balance pose, you don't start kicking yourself and calling yourself a loser. You say, this is great. I'm learning, I'm mastering, I'm trying. Okay, so that sort of nonviolent behavior to yourself and others. Next one is truthfulness, being honest once again with others and with yourself. Non-stealing, which means working for what you want rather than expecting to have it handed to you. Non-attachment, which means sharing rather than hoarding what you have the fortune to have. And finally, moderation, avoid excess and overindulgence. So those are the yamas. The number 2 limb is niyamas, and those are more like personal discipline practices, okay, and maybe some spiritual observances that you do, something like that. So the first one is purity, cleanliness, and again, it means a lot of things. It means everything from, combing your hair and taking a shower to the sort of garbage in, garbage out idea. Think about what you eat, what you watch, all those kinds of things, and you are what you eat, etc. So that's the first niyama. Also, there's contentment, practicing contentment, being content with what you have. Self-discipline, pretty common recommendation for betterment of self. Self-reflection, thinking about who you are, where you fit, what you want to be, getting to know yourself, your growing edges, your strengths, owning all of that. And the last one is beginning to let go of ego, okay? So trying to think about others perhaps more than you think about yourself. Think about if you have faith in a divine power, giving yourself over to that divine power, whatever it may be. So in the light of this pandemic we're living through, perhaps that would mean being less concerned about catching the disease and more concerned about transmitting the disease. Okay, so that's number 1, yamas. Number 2, niyamas. Number 3, you're very familiar with. That's the asana practice we've been doing. So the asanas are, again, to begin mastery of your body, all right, so that it will serve you rather than you serving it. So, for example, if you think about the balance poses we've been doing, and maybe the first time you try it, your body's saying no, no, foot back to the floor, no. And you continue to try and you continue to work with it, and pretty soon, you're saying yes, it's saying no, and your yes is winning over its no, and you've begun to master what your body can do. So the more you're able to do that, the asanas are not an end in themselves, right? They're so that you can run around and not get exhausted. They're so you can, lift a gallon of milk and it doesn't trouble you too much. So that's the purpose, is to help you cope with life better, okay? So that was number 3. Number 4 is pranayama, and that just means breath control, and we've also been practicing that a fair amount, and we've been talking about the positive value of that, how we can use our breath to center us, to calm us, to reduce stress, okay? So breath has that power, and pranayama is about mastery of breath. Next up, number 5, is pratyahara, and that basically means detaching from external stimuli, okay? And I don't know what life looked like 1,000 years ago when this was first developed, but right now that kind of means unplugging, okay? So not being 24/7 with the social media and the barrage of news that gets you sort of frenzied and stressed out. It means kind of taking breaks from that, okay? Letting go of that sometimes, and just, again, coming to your center place and not sort of thinking, always worrying about what's going on out there, just detaching from that, at least sometimes, yeah? And then number, what are we on, 6 is dharana, which is beginning to develop concentration and focus, improving your attention span. And we've also been practicing that during these sessions, okay? So if you think about when we're focusing on our breath, how we're just trying to let go of everything out there and begin to focus our minds and have that control. And if thoughts go through, you kind of let them go and you come back to center and begin that focused concentration. Or even if you're, say, in Warrior 2 and you're gazing and you just have that sort of focused, concentrated gaze. That's what we're working on with dharana. So we have been practicing that as well. Dhyana, next, number 7, is meditation. And I'm sure you know by now there are boatloads of studies, research showing the value of meditation as for relief of all kinds of distresses, for reducing stress, increasing calm, all kinds of things meditation is great for. And we've also been practicing meditation. Meditation doesn't have to be sitting for an hour uncomfortably in lotus pose and thinking of nothing with a blank mind. What we've been doing in Shavasana is meditation, okay? That just sort of clearing your mind, resting your body, finding some peace inside, okay? And meditation can look all kinds of ways for you. You think about what brings you peace, what brings you joy, and just try to incorporate it into your life. Meditation can be just sitting on a bench listening to the birds. Meditation can be taking a walk in the woods, just a peaceful break from life walking in the woods. So all of these, all 8 of these, don't have to look any particular way, all 8 of these limbs. They can be tailored to what works for you, okay? So that was 1 yamas, 2 niyamas, 3 asanas, the poses. 4 was the pranayama, the breath control. 5, the pratyahara, the unplugging a little bit. 6, the focused concentration. 7, the meditation. And then 8 is sort of meant to be the destination of all of this. Okay, so 8 is samadhi, and that is sort of inner peace, okay? Perhaps bliss, perhaps a sense of oneness with the universe, perhaps a sense of comfort in your place in the universe, okay? So all 7 steps kind of lead to step number 8. But again, as you can see, everything here is benign. It's more like, universal plan for human decency, or for finding peace with yourself. And none of it has to be incorporated in your yoga practice if it just doesn't appeal to you. I mean, if you love the coffee at Starbucks and you buy it, that doesn't mean you have to buy their pastries or their frappuccinos or anything like that. Set your own goals and intentions and then employ yoga in whatever way it helps you get there. So if your intention for yoga is to de-stress or to relieve some back pain or to gain some flexibility or balance, then that's your purpose in yoga, okay? It doesn't have to match any other purpose in yoga. But those are the 8 limbs of yoga. So just a little bit of background I thought you might be interested in. Okay, another disappearing chair. We've got a lot of magic with yoga today. But continuing the theme of yoga anywhere, anytime, I want to just talk briefly about just a 5-minute at-home yoga practice that you can design for yourself and kind of do anytime, any place. And if you're thinking 5 minutes, I want you to think 5 things, all right? If you think back of what we've gone over of these last 5 sessions, it sort of incorporates 5 different things, all right? 5 ways of movement, 5 things we're doing, all right? So thing number 1 is going to be stretching in the sagittal plane, okay? And that's front to back, all right? So what you want is for your minute number 1, something that takes you front to back, all right? So maybe it's this followed by this, okay? And you could do back and forth for a minute, or you could do 30 seconds of back and 30 seconds of down, anything like that. Item number 2 is going to be the coronal plane, that's side to side, all right? So here we're going maybe 30 seconds of this and 30 seconds of this. Again, you can go back and forth, or you can do 30 one way, 30 the other, okay? So we've got number 1, front back, number 2, side to side, number 3, you can probably guess, is going to be twist, all right? So a minute of twisting somehow. And I'm sure you can think of a lot of different ways already that we've done twisting in yoga, so any of those, okay? Number 4 is going to be balancing, a minute of balancing, 30 seconds on each side. And then number 5 is going to be something with your breath and your centering, okay? So maybe it's some peaceful breaths, and you could swap the order. It doesn't have to be 1 through 5 in this order. You could do the breathing and centering first, and then go through the other 4, or you can save it for last, whatever you want to do, okay? So you could do this in dozens of different ways. If there are poses you like, you can incorporate those poses. You can do it standing, you can do it on the floor, you can do it kneeling, you can do it sitting. If you think back through the different things we've done, it'd be very easy to come up with those 5 things covered in various different ways. So let's try it once just standing, all right? And for the front, back, and side to side, let's just do a combination of half moon and forward fold, okay? So if you remember half moon, we're doing this, over to the side, and we would do that for maybe 30 seconds, or even better, let's do it 15 seconds and we'll go through it twice. So we've got 15 seconds, 15 seconds, 15, and 15. And then we would run through that again, and that's your 2 minutes covering front, back, and side, side, all right? And then we could do, for the twist, let's say we want to do the wide-legged twist that we've done. So we're down here, and we twist. And this is one you can definitely do back and forth. So we're at that for a minute, okay? And then maybe for your balance, you want to do something like the tree, okay? So we'll do that for 30 seconds on each side. And again, don't worry if it's not 15 seconds, 30 seconds, none of that matters. What I'm saying is you can blow through a sort of a full, complete yoga contingent without having to spend an hour doing it. And 5 minutes a day makes a big difference. Okay, that's more than half an hour a week you've devoted to yoga. So if you don't have time for a whole studio class, at least you have time for that. We could certainly do it down on the knees. Okay, imagine the front back being cat-cow. You know that one very well. Okay, and we could do the side to side as the gate pose. We've done that before. All right, so that's front, back, side to side. Lots of different ways we can twist down on our knees or on the floor. You can cop back up to balance and to do the breath. All right, so you play around with that and see what you think. All right, so we're going to call it a day for today. Thanks for joining me for Anytime, Anyplace Yoga, and I really hope that you will incorporate yoga into your life anytime and any place. Have a wonderful day.